in my new marketing manager role, you know, thinking I'm, you know, and just patting myself on the back in general for organizing these amazing workshops. And I've been marketing them at 2 different times. So thank you to everyone who turned up at 1 o'clock. Thank you especially to Abby and Kirsty, who also turned up at 12 o'clock. I can confirm that all of the workshops, despite what it says in the printed magazine that you're about to receive or have just received, all of the other communications say 1 p.m. So all of the workshops will be at 1 p.m. till 2 p.m. GMT. And I've checked with the other hosts. Yes, just Tipex that bit out in the magazine.
Scribble it out of the marker.
So nice to see so many people here. Yeah, feel free to have your cameras on or off. Well, on if you don't mind, but if it's off, that's cool too. I'm still admitting a few people, but I'm gonna.
I like that subtle shaming us into turning our camera on, Sophie.
Oh
Very
no,
good.
I don't.
Yeah, oh no, off if you don't, off if you like.
No, I didn't. I got some feedback about co-working, because in the co-working I always said feel free to have your cameras off, and I think it is actually a bit nicer if they're on. But also, you know, if you're still in your pajamas, I'm not saying that's the only reason you'd have your camera off. If you're moving house, happy moving day, Amy, even though she's got a camera on now.
Yes, it might go off if it gets a bit distracting later, sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna crack on and introduce Kirsty, because that's what we're all here for. Like I said, basically this is our first season of workshops. I have invited people who I think are going to give awesome workshops for freelancers, basically the workshops that I wanted to do myself. I am a Kirsty Waite coaching alumni, so you're not going to get a bigger fan. Possibly the magazine still wouldn't exist if it wasn't for her. So I know this is going to be amazing. And we worked with companies, well, small businesses, solopreneurs, whatever you'd like to call them, that are sort of strongly attached to their purpose and helps people to fulfill their potential and you know, really work out what direction they're going in. So without further ado, especially for Abby, who was put here at 12, I'm just going to hand over to Kirsty. And yeah, thank you so much for being our first ever workshop.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank you for such a lovely introduction. So, as Sophie said, I'm a business coach, and I'm incredibly passionate about helping people align their business and their goals and really move forward with purpose in a way that really feels good to them. So we've got 60 minutes together, and that isn't very long, okay? So I'm going to try and give you as much information as you can. So I hope you have your pens and your notepads ready, because this is going to be a workshop, right? I'm going to get you to do the work in the workshop, so you leave today having some clarity and having some direction and focus of how you can achieve your goals that you want to achieve in 2023, okay? So as a welcome, because I like to make sure everyone feels really seen and heard, and I want to get used to using the chat. If you want to come off chat and say hi, please do, but please just put in the chat, hello, and why are you here? So what is your intention? Set your intention for the next 60 minutes, right? You have committed time to come in here today, to come to this session in particular. Why is it? What is it? What's your intention? What do you want to feel at the end of that 60 minutes? Let us know in the chat. It's really important that we do spend that little bit of time figuring out what our intention is, why we're here, because otherwise we feel like we're just a little bit aimless. We don't have a purpose. We don't have a direction. So hello, I'm seeing them all come through. Lovely. Here to get my ass in gear and get excited about the coming year. Yep. Reinvigorate my passion for creating content. Brilliant. Yep. I love writing and use it for work, my hobby, and want it to be better. Yeah, brilliant, excellent. I know where I want to be, but don't know how to get there. Well, hopefully by the end of this session, you'll have a little bit of a better idea. Here to bask in your positivity. Oh, hi, Anita. Yeah, oh, lovely, Joe. So thank you so much. Brilliant. Keep them coming, and I'll check back in them as we go through. So now that you're all here, you're all spoken into the room, I can see that you're all energized to get going. What I want you to do is get super present in the moment, right? So I want you to respect your own time, the time of everybody else here. I want you to knock your phones off, shut your other tabs that you've got going on, and I want you to be really present in this moment with us, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little breathing technique. I'm going to talk you through it. And all I'm trying to do is get you really grounded and present. And I want you to forget that noise of the outside world for the next 60 seconds and focus your attention here, okay? So this is going to be you working on your business, okay? So put everything down, focus, feet on the floor. And what I'm going to do is we're going to do just a little breathing exercise where we're going to do 3 sets of breathing work. And we're going to breathe in for 5, hold for 2, and breathe out for 5. Feel free to close your eyes, get comfy, wriggle your shoulders, knock your camera off, whatever feels good to you. I'm going to talk you through it, but really just ground yourself in this moment. So we're ready? 3, 2, 1, in for 5. In through your nose, hold for 2, breathe out for 5. Try to control that breathing as it comes out. And again, in for 5, hold for 2, and out for 5. And last time, hopefully your shoulders are getting a bit more relaxed. You're starting to feel a little bit more present. In for 5, in through your nose, and 2 and out. So stay where you are, keep your eyes closed. And I want you to do the biggest breath in through your nose. And when you get to the top, I want you to stop. And I want you to squeeze and tense everything as much as you can. And then I want you to let go. And I want a big, I want to feel the tension drip away, okay? So 1, 2, 3, big breath in through your nose. Fill those lungs up as much as you can. Hold it, squeeze as much as you can. Everything, your toes, your nose, your knees, everything. And let it out. Does that feel nice? Okay, so now that I've got you all present and you're here and you're focused on what we actually got to be doing rather than thinking of all the things you should be doing and the places you should be. Okay, so we're here to talk about strategy and goals and helping you achieve what you want to achieve this year, okay? So when we talk about that, it sounds a little bit boring, a little bit, it's the jobs that people put off, they don't really like doing it, right? But we get to choose what we make this session. So we can get to choose that it's going to be fun and energetic, okay? So let me know if you're up for some fun and energetic session rather than boring planning, okay? Let's try and bring some energy to the space, okay? Because remember, we can choose how we bring up, how we show up, what we do, and the energy we bring, okay? Yes, please. Awesome. So what I want you to do now that I've got you nice and present and calm, I want you to bring that energy back before we get into the devil of the detail, right? So I want you to stand up, sit down, whatever feels good. But for 10 seconds, I want you to literally just go crazy. Wave your arms, do some twirls, loosen up, whatever it is, dance, sing, wave, whatever it is you feel good. I want you to bring your energy to the session, right? Because I want to get that flowing. Ready? So are we ready? When I get to 1, I want to see it. Knock your cameras off if you want. This is all for you. I want you to just bring your energy, raise your energy, right? So 3, 2, 1, go. Come on. I want to see you waving about, turn around as much as you can. And stop. Okay, so now we're fully energized. I'm going to get you to do some work. So why make some plans? Why set goals, right? I hear so much of people just like thinking that, I'll just figure it out as I go. And Sophie's laughing. I can't see Sophie on the screen. I hope you were dancing, Sophie. So I hear all the time, I don't like setting goals. I don't like creating plans. I just like to go with the flow. I don't like the structure. I feel like tied to a certain plan. And I hear it all, right? People like the flexibility. However, if we do just go along without being intentional the likelihood that we're going to get to the point we want to get to is highly unlikely, right? So what I want to do is help you tune into the action and take action with intention to help you get to where it is you want to go and the goals you want to achieve. Okay. So there's a crazy statistic that if you put strategy and planning behind a goal, I think it's like 59% more likely to succeed, right? Like 59%. That's crazy, right? So what I want you to do, so we're going to do 3 things today, right? We're going to have a quick look back to see what works and what doesn't and what you like. And we're going to have a look forward to see what you really want to achieve. And then we're going to bring it back to the action of today, right? So I know it's all about looking forward to 2023, and you might think, oh, why do I need to look back? Well, fundamentally, if we don't know what's worked well and what hasn't, how can we learn from that and recalibrate and go forward with intention and learners, right? So for the first activity of today, what I want you to do, I'm going to literally give you 5 minutes, and I want you to make a list on your piece of paper, and I want the left-hand side to be the positive things, what went well last year in your business, and the lessons learned, so the things that didn't go so well, right? So split your paper into 2. I just want you to brainstorm under each column. 5 minutes, go. So this is tuning into, could be a work thing, it could be a project, it could be a client, whatever it is. I want you to think about what you really enjoyed, what went really well, and what didn't, what do you want to change, what lessons did you learn? Okay, so just as you come to the end of that exercise, what I want you to do, I'm going to give you another couple of minutes, but I want you to answer these 3 questions because I want you to share them in the chat if you feel comfortable, right? So from that review, that brain dump from last year, what's one thing that you're proud of? One lesson that you learned? And one thing that was a struggle or you found a challenge? The one thing you're proud of, one lesson learned, one thing that was a struggle. So I'm going to give you another couple of minutes just to think of those things, and please share them in the chat if you feel comfortable or you'd like to share. That would be incredible. Penny, I've just seen your message. I'm really pleased you didn't get kicked out of the building. She's still here.
What was the third one again? Sorry, Kirsty.
One thing that was a struggle. So one thing you're proud of, one lesson learned, and one thing that was a struggle. Oh, thanks for sharing, Amy. Proud of my work improvement. Learned my processes need improvement. Struggled with time for my own creative work. Yeah. Proud to be selected as a judge for an award. Oh, that's cool. Maybe I like collaboration. I feel that. Proud of pitching and winning a year's writing contract back in January. Brilliant. It's awesome. Proud of winning an award. Struggled with. Yeah. I read some of my work at Hastings Book Festival. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I don't rely on one client for 80% of the income. Brilliant. Oh, there's some awesome stuff on there. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think we see when it comes to the new year, we always see, you know, the posts going out on social media and people reflecting, which is brilliant, right? But for me, the thing is that we do something with that tangibly, right? Like, so we actually sit down and go, what are the lessons here? Like, how can I change things going forward, right? And the reason that I got you to do that is because I just really want you to tune in to how you can recalibrate and do things differently going forward. Because if we keep just repeating the same thing, we're going to get to the same results, right? And we have the choice to create this business how we want, right? You have that power. And I think we sometimes disempower ourselves and take that choice away from ourselves. So what I want to do is I want to really tune in to what it is you want to do and the commitment you've got to yourself to showing up and making that happen, right? So I just want to read this quote out to you, and then we're going to go into the next activity. So, there is a dance only you can do that exists only in you, here and now, always changing, always true. Are you willing to listen with fascination? If you are, it will deliver you into the self you have always dreamed you could be. This is a promise. And I love that. I think it just really kind of brings home that we have the ability to show up for ourselves and take action, right? So with that in mind, what I want you to do is we're going to have a little look at the future, right? So we've looked back, we've got our lessons, we know what we're really proud of, we know what we struggled with, right? So what I want you to do now is I want you to catapult into January 2024, right? So this is, we're going to create that vision for yourself. And when we show up and do work every single day, it has to be aligned to that goal that you want to achieve. Otherwise, you're just going to end up going in different directions. So what we're going to do with this exercise is we're going to get super clear on what that vision looks like for you, right? And when we talk about vision, we kind of talk, we have the long-term vision of our business, like the dream of what we want to achieve and create. But anything longer than 5 or 10 years, you can't really create an actual action plan for that because you don't know how that's going to work. You don't know how you were going to achieve that yet. That's a bit fuzzy. It's hazy. You know really what you would like, but you can't bring that to the actions of you doing today, right? But 12 months down the line, you absolutely can bring that today. So we're going to create your reality based on what you want to achieve. So then that vision becomes real. Okay. So if you've never done any kind of visualization exercise, please go with it. Please just embrace it. So what I want you to do, I'm going to talk you through an exercise, but I want you to close your eyes, knock your camera off if you feel more comfortable. And I want you to step in to January 2024. Just get a bit comfortable. Do some breathing. Put yourself in a place that inspires you, somewhere you find calm. I want you to imagine that the year has happened. It was incredible. You have achieved everything that you set out to do. You look back at the day that we had this workshop, of the things that you only dreamed you could create, the goals that you had, and they all came true. Everything you wanted came into your reality. You nailed the goals. You killed it in your business. It was incredible. I want you just to kind of bask in that feeling for a minute of celebration. You showed up for yourself. You took the tough decisions. You made them actions happen. As challenging as it was, you overcame them. And I want you to feel and think that you're talking to somebody. You're telling them how incredible and epic this year has been. It couldn't have gone any better. I want you to really tune in to what you're seeing. I want you to recognize how you are feeling. I want it to feel achievable. I want it to feel celebratory. What are you celebrating? What are you telling that person that you're celebrating? Who are you surrounded by? What are you thinking? What are you grateful to yourself for? I want you to really tune into the energy and the feeling of where's that feeling in your body? How does it make you feel? Happy, excited, energetic, grateful? And I want you to bask in that lovely energy, that excitement, that fizz, the loveliness. And I want you to put all them feelings in a jar, pop the lid on them, and come back to now. Before I go any further, I want to give you literally a couple of minutes to download what your vision was, just to get it out of your head and onto some paper. So go for it. Okay, so just as others are finishing up writing, share in the chat if there's anything that came up for you there that you want to share, or how you felt about doing that exercise. Let me know. It's really interesting what comes up when you do things like this. I've already had a word for 2023. Fun. I love it, Michelle. Fun. Stop working evenings with clients after 20 years. Yeah. Fun. I'm a huge believer that business should be fun. And I think it's creating fun consistently, like sprinkling it through your days and your weeks. It shouldn't just be a big event. Yeah, fun. I love it. We've got more fun words. Brilliant. What this exercise is making us do, it's making us feel, think, and do, right? And it's going to help us anchor back into that when things get tough. The feeling that being brave at the end of 22 really paid off, and I'm hoping doing the type of work I've been heading for over 3 years. Yeah. Oh, play, Penny. I love that. All part of the same nice feeling. I find visualization being quite hard, but give it a go. Was I supposed to? No, you weren't supposed to come up with a word, but I do love that people have. Do you know that visualization? People do really struggle with it, right? Because as we've grown up, when we're younger, if you think of the imagination you had as a child and the amount of, like, you used to dream limitlessly, didn't you? You never used to stop that dreaming as a kid because you were never told that it was unrealistic. You never got told to stop. But as unfortunately we grow up and into adults, we're very much conditioned to not to dream, and that the fact that we need to keep in reality, like get your head out the clouds, like that's not real. And that's why it's hard, because our logical mind wants to stop us doing it because it feels uncomfortable. We feel like we shouldn't be doing it. So I appreciate that it is difficult for some people. But I'm really pleased to give it a go. And it's just a bit of fun, just commit yourself to dreaming and put boundaries around that. So you allow yourself permission to just dream for 5 minutes and what could be, because what comes with that is opportunity, and you get a little bit more creative with it. Yeah, I find exercise like this really hard, and the monologue is so loud it interrupts. Yeah. And I imagine it interrupts with like, stop being ridiculous, like this isn't available to you, like come on, back to the day job. Made me feel calm, like I'm doing the right thing, like what I was is totally possible. Yes, so absolutely is possible. I have an animal of the year. Oh, I love that area, animal of the year, tortoise. Love it. Sometimes it helps to think back to last year and how you felt. Yeah. Because what we're trying to do is create the anchor, right, of that feeling in that jar, that yummy, lovely feeling of possibility, right? Because if we want to feel that way in a year's time, right, this is the fun bit, and this is the cool bit, that we have the time to create that for ourselves. So whilst I'm a huge believer of visualizations and visions, and I think it really energizes you for your business, I'm also a huge believer of intentional action to match that, right? Because we can create that for ourselves, but we do need to take action. We can't just sit and hope and pray, right? And that's where it gets fun, because we can now bring that into our daily reality of going, right, what's one little thing I can do to take us towards that? How can I slowly get there? Because where you are now is here, where you want to be is here. You're not going to go like that in one, like on the 31st of December, right? It's going to be tiny little steps. And sometimes it might be a couple of steps back, and sometimes it might be a big half a leap forward, right? But it's a process to get to where you want to be. I imagined how I would feel having spent more guilt-free time with the family and friends and finished feeling proud, grateful and happy. Yes, I love that. My animal would be a meerkat looking around for new opportunities. Oh, I love it. Meerkat, love it. Okay, so now that we've kind of tuned in to that lovely energy and the idea of that possibility, now we need to make it happen, right? So you've journaled down exactly what was in that vision. What I want you to get really clear on now is, in that vision, what needs to happen to make that your truth and your reality, right? So I'm going to give you like 5 or 10 minutes to do this, because it's tuning back into that vision and going, right, you might have visualized your business with a lovely fancy website, a client process that comes through all automated and effortlessly, and it's beautiful, right? for that to happen, there's a list of things that fall under that. So you need to get a website. Well, what does that look like? You need to have an automation. You need to have a process, right? And that's just an example. So I want you to, you remember mine? Yeah, what I want you to do is spend the next 5 to 10 minutes. Just think top level here. We're not going into the detail. Just by January 2024, what needs to have happened for that vision to come to your reality, right? So very top level, what are those goals? What does that look like? Amy, so all I ask you to do is, from that vision, what goals actually need to happen in your business for that to become a reality? So very top level, what are the key deliverables or goals that you want to put down that would help you create that vision? So that we're bringing it into the tangible, we're bringing it into actual things that need to happen in your business. So we're taking it from just a vision and bringing it into the reality of what's achievable. Is that okay? Let me know if you need any more, Amy. I love that, Michelle. Thank you for sharing. Less is definitely more sometimes. I'm going to give you another couple of minutes just to do this, and then we'll move on to the next bit. So just get as much down as you can. Don't worry about how it's going to work, how you're going to deliver it, the details of it. This is just getting it out of your head. That's a really great point there, Sophie. So I think it's also really important to set goals so we can look back and celebrate when we've achieved them. but also because otherwise it's easy to get into this mindset of just a bit more, then just a bit more, then I'll be successful, then I'll be able to take more time off. We need to set goals to give ourselves more control over things. Absolutely, definitely. And we can also get stuck into that cycle of like just on to the next thing straight away. And it's like tick, 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 I've done it. Whereas actually just stopping to reflect and recognize and be grateful for what the work you've put in for yourself. To make room for the clients I want, I'm going to have to let go of some clients, even though I really like them. Yes. Yeah, Susie, I feel you. So, so true. Acknowledging and celebrating is so important. Absolutely, definitely. And Susie, I'm in the same boat. Don't like letting them down. And this is something that we see so often. And what we're going to get, what we end up getting, we get to a point now in business where we have a bit of a default business that's evolved and grown based on the clients that's come in, the projects that's come through the door, rather than choosing intentionally the kind of people you want to work with, the clients, the projects. So rather than having the created intentional business, you end up with this bit of a default business, and that can sometimes feel misaligned to what you really want to create, or you may have outgrown that stage of your business. And unfortunately, as hard as it is, sometimes your clients don't grow with you, or they're not your ideal client that you want to take forward with. So I know going through that transition can be tricky, but you need to really tune in to you of creating this incredible business that feels aligned to you and is driven by your purpose, not driven by that of what other people want for you. Okay, so now we should have our list of goals and projects and key deliverables to help us create that vision, right? So then what I want you to do, if you've got highlighters or coloured pens, brilliant. If not, we can just go through a market. So what I want you to do out that list, I want you to break it down into what needs to happen in which order of the quarters for the year. So we break our year down into 4 quarters. So there'll be things on that list that needs to happen before other things can happen, right? So search and test draw. So if you've got 4 different colours, it's really easy to go through and just mark off the colour 1 for Q4, you know, and mark them off. So it's very, very visible of what needs to happen, right? If not, you could just go down and write Q1, Q2, Q3, whatever that looks like. So what we're going to do is we're slowly bringing this back to the work you're doing today, right? So go through that list. I want you to highlight everything for Q4, Q3, Q2, Q1, or just write on with pen if you haven't got the colours. So if you saw right, I've just started planning happy things after being in a kind of mad hamster wheel headspace all of last year. Already finding meeting deadlines, etc. Much more comfortable because I'm working towards a small celebration, not just charging into the next thing on the list. Absolutely. So hard to not always put everything in Q1. Do you know, when we have a vision that we excited about or we really energized to work on, right? We try to when we end up going into overwhelm because we want to do it as quick as possible. We want to achieve it right now. And we end up taking everything on. And then what happens when we sit in overwhelm, we massively, massively underestimate the amount of time it takes to complete a task, right? So doing this exercise is going to highlight to you the amount of work that's included and how much you will be bulking into 1 quarter. Because you'll soon start to see, actually, if everything falls into Q2, how are you going to deliver that and work with your clients and grow your business, right? So what this exercise is actually helping you to do, it's helping you to see time scales of things and be realistic, right? Because you know your capacity, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but we need to understand as we're going through this, we can't bulk everything into 1 quarter. So I heard most people massively overestimate what they can do in a day. Yes, yeah, sorry, Sophie, I've just said that, sorry. Yeah. Michelle, don't worry, no worries. I'm also terrible at blocking out time for business development. Yeah, I genuinely still expect time to drop out. That's it. Yeah, if you don't plan it in, if you don't plan time into plan, it never happens, right? Like we genuinely think, oh, I'll just get around to doing it, or it'll happen. And then that's when we fall into that default mode of living in the now, in the weeds of your business, where what we really need to do is dedicate some time to get you out of the weeds, which is what we're trying to do today, and give you that aerial view of what you really want to create and how you can create it for yourself. Okay. What do you do about things that are outside your control? Well, when things are outside of our control, we need to identify, is it completely out of our control? Is it within our area of influence? Is it within our area of concern? Do we need to be able to control it? How does it impact us? We need to understand, what do we need to do? Because if it's completely out of our control, there's nothing we can do about it. We need to let it go, right? So that makes some sense. Death blocking out business development time and artist dates. Yeah, artist dates. I love that. Priority. I think we need to rebrand business development to make it sound more fun. Yeah, it definitely does. And I think that's why I was saying at the beginning of this session, it is what you make it, right? And it doesn't have to be boring. And unfortunately, it's a process you've got to go through, and thinking can sometimes, you don't want to get into that space because it is hard. You've got to think. But it makes such a difference, you showing up every single day, knowing what you've got to do, right? My goal is to be uncontactable on Fridays because I'm on a date with my artist. Yes, Sophie, I love that. And I think it's one thing I do is I don't take calls on a Monday and a Friday, and that makes a massive difference because it gives me space and I'm not constantly on the hamster wheel of being on the phone to people all the time. Artist dates, yes. Also actually booking in half an hour walk every day, not just thinking it might happen. And you know what's really important? To reframe what you think of these dates as. So like booking time into walk, it's not time away from your business. You've got to bring your whole self to your business, and that includes your well-being, right? Your well-being hugely impacts your performance of your business. Right? So having time out to go for a walk or take yourself off on an artist day, it's all part of your business, and you should structure it in and build it in with that mindset. It shouldn't be a treat. It shouldn't be an exception. It should be all one. Like you are holistically bringing your whole self to your business, especially when we're small businesses. We are the face of our business. So if we're not fit and healthy, then there's no business, right? So okay. Yes. All right. So now we should have your lovely list, and it'll be color coded. Do you tell your clients you don't take calls on? Yeah. I think it's really, I'm really transparent about how I operate with all my clients. And I think it's good that they understand, and equally there's boundaries both ways. Again, but I have Voxer with my clients. I don't answer Voxer messages on a Friday unless it's urgent, but they know that. So everyone kind of knows where they stand. What are artist dates? You need to read the book. What's the book, Soph? Yeah, that's it. The Artist's Way. It's a lovely book. Definitely read it. So let's move on because I'm conscious of time. And I also want to say you will have work you need to do outside of this session. So what I'm doing here is setting you up with a framework to go away and create this in your diaries, right? To bring this into your day-to-day reality. There's only so much we can do and workshop together in 60 minutes. So you will now have a lovely list, and you'll have all your quarters identified. What I want you to do now is pick Q1, right? And I'm conscious we're already kind of heading into the end of the first half of Q1, right? And what you might want to do this for Q2 as well. It depends how far in the future you plan, right? Because what we want to do now is we want to break those tasks down into actual tasks that you can do and see week by week, right? So let's stick with Q1. And what you need to do is reverse engineer. So if this needs to be happened by the end of Q1, how am I going to fit this in? So I would encourage you to get your diaries up, to open your diaries, and to start and plan when this is actually going to go in, when this is going to happen, because I want you to consider these things when you're looking at those tasks, right? So I want you to break the tasks down into actual actions that you need to do. I want you to ask yourself, how long is this task going to take? Do I need any additional support with it? What's going to stop me doing this? What do I need to do to stop that happening, to make sure it happens? Then I want you to put it into your diary. And like I say, that's quite a lot of information. So maybe just structure it and do a couple of the first actions and then spend some time after this session. Keep it simple. Keep it super simple. Remember, we underestimate the amount of time things get done, because what we tend to do is go, I want it off my list, quick, let's try and get it done, right? Whereas what we really want to do is show up with some intention of how you're going to spend the day. So even if you're blocking out some time in your diary to do Q1 planning, I would strongly suggest you do. So then you can really sit down and break Q1s down into manageable steps, put it in your diary so you can plan it for the next quarter. And then when you get every week you plan it, you know what needs to happen at the end of that week to help you deliver that goal, right? And I'm telling you now for free, this is a challenge that you're going to want to avoid, because it's going to take brain work, right? It's going to make you think. It's going to make you sit down and look at your diary. It's going to make you look at details that you maybe still not ready to consider. But remember that lovely vision and that lovely feeling that's in that jar. And to get that, we've got to do the work every single day, right? So I'm going to, for the next 5 or 10 minutes, I want you to focus on breaking down your Q1 into specific actions. How long is it going to take you? Do you need any support? What's going to stop you doing it? Brainstorm what you can do to prevent that happening. And then have you scheduled it in your diary? Q1 goal, improve time planning and focus. One thing that gets in my way is calls with prospective clients. How do other people handle this? My advice, Susie, is you have specific set days, potentially. So I know if anyone's coming through to me for a discovery call, they get a link that's a discovery call link, and they only happen on certain times at certain days. I see lots of people using Calendly. Yeah, Calendly is brilliant. I really like Calendly. I have my Calendly set up with only set days and times. Yeah, Charles does exactly the same. I use Calendly and clients can only book in certain days. Yeah. So everyone's pretty much saying the same thing. So you get to control when they come into your diary. So we sometimes get stuck into the thing of the thought process of, if someone wants to work with us, we need to please them and meet them when that works for them, when really it's a collaboration. It's got to work for both parties. I use Calendly but think I'm too flexible chasing new business. Yes, so boundaries, Susie, that's what's needed. Calendly doesn't allow for multi-day bookings. Looking for an alternative. I love Calendly, but I don't currently use it. I have a CRM system that does it all. Can't quite get my head around things going into my diary without me knowing controlling. But you can control when they go into the diary, can't you? Ultimately, I work with you as new UK clients. I feel I always have to be available. Stephen, yes, it's difficult. That is difficult, but you could have certain days, so you only work, because I'm assuming you'll work late for your US clients. So you might say Tuesday and Thursday, for example, is the option for your US. I don't know, maybe just have a think of when that looks like. The problem is, if we make ourselves available to everybody all the time, this work is never going to get done. It's not a priority, which is saying your business isn't a priority, right? So we need to instill those boundaries ourselves. Thinking about when to take the discovery calls, i.e. not in my best thinking doing time on the day. I use afternoons for discovery calls. That works for me. Yeah, absolutely, Becky. Absolutely. Q1, Amy, sort out processes so frees up time for making more creative work. Yeah. Yeah, my husband's the same, Steve. Yeah, I get it. I completely get it. Yeah, it's difficult with the 2 time zones. Remember to not overwhelm yourself as you're going through this. Keep it simple. Keep it achievable and doable and manageable, because that's how we're going to get things done. We're aiming for those little steps forward, not the big leaps. Because the last thing we're going to do, if we just overwhelm ourselves and bombard us in Q1 with a whole load of stuff, the top and bottom of it is we're not going to do it, because it's going to become too much. We can't fit it in with the rest of our lives and our business. It's got to be achievable. And also, I think recognizing what's priority, like really what's priority. Like if having a better work-life balance, being able to be flexible around home time is your priority, but your diary looks different to that, we need to be aligning those 2 things, and we need to be okay with that. Because sometimes we say we want something, but the reality of doing that thing can seem challenging to us. So we need to be recognizing when the actions we take in our business are not reflecting what we say and we want to do. So just to recap, what we're doing at the moment is we're going through those Q1 things, we're doing our specific actions, and I want you to also put them in your calendar. And I want you to, there's one thing I want you to put in your calendar, and that is time to do this work fully for all of for the next quarter for yourself. As in, break it all down. You might want to use Trello or Notion or Excel, whatever it is, and list those things that roll up into your Q1 and get super clear on what it is you want to do. And then what I want you to do is actually book the time in your diary to complete them things. Even if it's just a marker for now, even if it is just an hour or 2 in the future, so you know that that time is allocated. And what I want you to do is if you move that time, it's a compromise. If you move it, you have to move it somewhere else, right? So if it gets to the week of that thing and you think, oh, I cannot be bothered to do that, I just really don't want to focus on that, that's fine. But where are you going to move it to? Because tuning back into that lovely, yummy feeling of your vision, for that to come your reality, we need to do the hard things on a day-to-day basis, right? So if you're saying yes to something, you're automatically saying no to something else. So just constantly ask yourself, is this priority for me? What's the consequence of me not doing this? Is this moving me one step closer to what I want to create in my business? Because when we start becoming super intentional like that, it helps us be more focused in our day-to-day. Okay? So what I want you to do is I understand that's a really big task that you might want to go and take away, but I want you to think about how you can implement this simple approach every quarter. So the end of one quarter, how can you plan in that time to go, right, let's look at that list of goals that I want to achieve, and how do I bring that into my quarter and plan it in? Okay. So how are you getting on with that? Anything else that you'd like to share? Is it something that you do anyway, this kind of thing? Has it helped you get some clarity? Give me some feedback. I find the big things just stay on the list a lot of the time. Yeah. And The trick is to break them down so they don't seem like big things. And I think if something stays on there a long time, you need to be really asking yourself, do I really want that? And how can I make it happen? Until I have that magic week where nothing else is happening, yeah, I'm finding it very useful. It's easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day and not step outside. Yeah. I haven't done that. Writing the consequences, this is huge and I reckon will be helpful. Brilliant. I tend to block out time for client work and day-to-day business development, but find it harder to find time for the big things. Exactly, it's the things that we put in our mind as big. How can we make that not a big thing? How can we break that down? How can we make it easy? Like if you had to do just one tiny small thing towards that big thing that you're telling yourself, what would it be? Like what would it be? Literally start that small. I don't really do this after New Year because I get stuck and disheartened with it. So it was good to have a simple way to do it. It was a good reminder that the time creative is essential to my long-term goals. Absolutely. And I think the key is that golden thread between what you're doing today impacts that long-term goal. We think we're miraculously going to wake up one day and have achieved that long-term goal. It's just going to happen, right? When really the actions we do in every single day either takes us towards it or takes us away from it. Okay? And absolutely keeping it simple. Like we need to keep things as simple as possible in business, especially this stuff that we deem a little bit boring, right? We need to just try and figure a way of doing it. And it might be that you treat yourself to go and work from a really nice location or a coffee shop as you do this work. So you're compromising. It's going to be fun. And that's how you get you into the mindset of doing it. You might take yourself away and go and work somewhere else for the day. Like you need to think of how can you create this into your business as a process that you do. I found long-term planning a lot more challenging post 2020. Yeah, love the idea of business development coffee shop day. Yeah, I do it all the time. I love it. A bit addicted to going to different coffee shops. My goal for Q1 is to launch my new podcast where I speak to local business owners. I love it. It's my new way of networking. So I've broken down all the tasks I need to complete the podcast out there. I've already started planning it out, but I diarise when I'm excellent. Brilliant. Love it, Charles. A friend of mine books herself into a hotel overnight to work on her business twice a year. I do that as well. I love it. It's brilliant. Yeah. I know I've got a client that books themselves into a cottage for 4 nights away from the children and husband. That's incredible. Yeah, brilliant. Awesome. Okay, so to finish up our session, I always end any session that I do because it's really important that we take something away from our time that we've had together and we recognize that. Okay, so what I want you to think about and share in the chat, 1 action and 1 insight from the session, right? So your action can be to go away and do more of this. And your insight is an awareness of something that you weren't aware of at the beginning or a realization that you had during the session. So 1 insight and 1 action. Let us know in the chat. I've sent some goals for Q1 and have broken them down daily tasks needed daily to work towards achieving those goals. Yes, absolutely. Having those little small daily tasks help you. Small little steps forward, it becomes that big leap. So 1 insight, 1 action. Plan on drawing day. Oh, I'll come through. Insight, goal planning doesn't have to be boring. Yay! We did it. That big insight, as obvious it is, that you've got to write stuff out, get it out your head, and then just schedule calendarized time so you can work inch towards things. Yes, absolutely. This structure has really helped solidify my plans rather than just have it all swimming about constantly. Yes, it puts some structure and clarity to it, doesn't it? My action is to go away and set much more specific goals and block out the time in my calendar moving forward. Perfect. Eloise, going to put my annual leave in my email signatures to clients. I forewarned. Yeah. Like with regards to holidays as well and annual leave, that's something I plan in because it's a bit different because I've got children and I comply to the school holidays, but I plan out all my holidays at the beginning of the year and it's completely blocked out my diary. So that happens without me. As the year develops, that time saved for me, regardless of what happens. People can't infiltrate that time because I've set it out. And that's been, yeah, that's just my intention of I'm not working in those times. Yeah, like invoice and visualization and planning is a part of the business. Yes, I'm going to start getting up early and meditating. Oh yes, love meditating. Yeah, I love it. Action, booking 7 weeks annual leave. Insight, break stuff down into smaller chunks. Yes, Anita, I love it. I'll go and re-listen and replay when it's sent out and map more things out. Yeah, definitely. Like I said at the beginning of the session, this is going to prompt loads of thought and loads of action. So do take the time after our session to really just like let it sit and then plan it out in a calm, controlled way. Don't get overwhelmed. Keep it super, super simple. Okay. Okay, loads of insights and actions there. Thank you all so much for sharing and being really open. I hope it's been really helpful. Do reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear how you get on. But as we come in to the top of the hour, I will let you go. If you've got anything else, please do let me know. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. That was absolutely awesome. I've written down like 5 pages of notes, and that's not even scratched the surface. Yeah, just to say thank you. I've recorded this, so I'm going to send it all out to you so you can watch it back if you want to. It'll probably be next week now, and I'm going to download the chat as well, so I'll put a link to that as well. But yeah, just thank you again so much, Kirsty.
You're very welcome.
Thank you guys, and maybe see you at the other workshops. We've got Penny next week, Lindsay Cambridge the week after, Amy Nolan the week after that, and they are 1 till 2 p.m. GMT. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.